What's up, everybody? I'm Sydnee Goodman, and in today's Daily Fix, presented by Cheez-It Grooves, next gen, hands-on with an Xbox Series X, and how'd you like a chance to win a next-gen console of your own? Roll the thing. It's me, Sydnee Goodman, from roughly 6 years in the future, back to tell you there's still video games. That's right, we're talking next gen, or at least Xbox big boss Phil Spencer did in a recent interview. Speaking to Yahoo Finance, Spencer confirmed that Microsoft is still planning on developing dedicated gaming hardware in the immediate-ish future, even though services like Microsoft xCloud, Google Stadia, and Amazon Luna are working to change the way the world plays games. Spencer said, quote, "In terms of future hardware, absolutely. I think we're going to see more console hardware down the road. Just like in video, just like in music, it's not that streaming has cut off device innovation. I think we'll continue to see that, and that's absolutely what we're planning for." Obviously, things could change, but it's interesting to note that Microsoft, who has their own cloud gaming service, is still planning on creating console hardware. I personally don't think this is super surprising, especially given the tepid response to Google Stadia. At this point, cloud gaming feels a bit ahead of its time, and I'm not saying we won't get to a place where it's the norm, but for now, services like Stadia haven't been widely adopted by core gamers, and it seems to be a bit too obtuse for folks who don't already own a console or a gaming PC. So it's not surprising that Spencer is talking about console support for at least another generation of consoles beyond the Series X. And honestly, I think it'll extend a few more console generations. I mean, look at how long something like VR is taking to become more widely adopted. I know it's not a one-to-one, but completely changing how people consume content can take a while. Maybe for the next generation of consoles, Spencer and his team will come up with a naming convention that isn't so confusing. Speaking of boring, regular, old-fashioned next-gen consoles, IGN's very own Ryan McCaffery got his hands on an Xbox Series X and tested out its load times, quick resume function, and compatibility features. Let's jump into it. Up front, McCaffery notes that the Xbox Series X feels like a $500 device, aka it's a meaty boy. And when you turn on the console, you're greeted with the same sound as this generation's startup chime. And once it's on, it's quiet. It's so quiet, it's almost inaudible when it's idle, and when it's running a demanding game like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, it's still pretty quiet. We'll have to wait and see what it sounds like once there are actual next generation games available. In either case, this is a welcome upgrade because both my PS4 and Xbox One sound like helicopters taking off whenever I play them. Boot up times. When booting up the Xbox Series X from its always-on state, it boots up almost instantly, which is obviously faster than the One X, and a cold boot takes it about 10 to 12 seconds compared to nearly a minute for the One X. Next up is storage. Currently, the Xbox Series X is only available at 1 terabyte of storage, and you'll need to use it very wisely because it's really only 802 gigabytes of usable storage after OS and system files. And we all know that game install sizes aren't getting any smaller anytime soon. Last week, we learned that Xbox's proprietary storage expansion will set you back to $19.99, and that next-gen games either have to be played off of that expansion or the console itself. But previous-gen games could be played off of any USB 3.1 SSD. McCaffery ran load time tests with games like RDR2, Halo 5, Control, and some Xbox 360 games, and notes that even though you can play those games off of an external SSD, the load time advantages are so significant that it makes more sense to shuttle the games back and forth between your external storage and the console's internal storage. That sounds like a pain, but he says that the transfer is pretty quick. We haven't talked about quick resume yet, the Series X's touted feature of switching between games and experiencing little to no load time. And good news, it works! There's even a quick resume icon that pops up when using the feature to let you know that you won't have to wait for the entire game to load from scratch. Obviously, McCaffery wasn't able to run these tests with any next-gen games yet, but if how the Series X runs with the back catalog is any indication, it seems clear that the Series X is quite a boost from this current gen. And now, let's take a moment to break and reset, presented by Cheez-It Grooves. Real talk, it has been a tough couple of weeks for those of us who took an L trying to get our hands on a next-gen console pre-order. But fear not, because Daily Fix and Cheez-It Grooves could be here to turn that L upside down and maybe bend it a bit till it's the shape of a W. I guess what I'm trying to say is we have a contest where you have the chance to win a next-gen console of your choice. That's right, we'll be picking someone to win a PS5 or Xbox Series X, and more importantly, 3 boxes of Cheez-It Grooves. Check out the link in the description to enter. And that's Daily Fix. I'm Sydnee Goodman, and I hope your day is as awesome as you are. Now that you're all caught up on the news, check out our latest episode of Devs React, where Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remaster developers react to a speedrun of the game. Download the IGN app on all your mobile devices, subscribe to the Daily Fix on Snapchat, and for all things everything else, IGN.com.